A standalone ridge of rock rides on the skyline above Ridgway, Colorado. These structured volcanic uplifts compromise no claim to being a carefree climb. Even though this is not one of the highest points within this area, it will capture one's immediate attention with its unusual uprise. The easy as pie terminology may be left at the trailhead. This is not a subtle hike. Under normal circumstances, access to this hike downrange of the pass is usually possible without the use of a four-wheel drive during the summer months. A mellow calming is easy to attain along the tranquil passage as you find your way up the west fork of the Cimarron River Valley. The wide open vistas and a large parking area offer camping and a staging point at the direct base of the trailhead. Commencing our hike at over 10,000 feet, the couple 100-foot warm-up subsides and you immediately begin the upward ascent. The well-worn, well-maintained trail is easy to follow. The trail starts immediately going up right from the trailhead for the roughly 1,900-foot climb up to the high point of Courthouse Mountain. Unforgiving trip right from the beginning.
For a young hiker like me, it's easy to knock down the switchbacks fairly quickly. It's often said that a strong hiker can reach the summit in little more than an hour. Not wanting to show my dad up, I let him set the pace.
Coming straight up from lower altitude and doing some of these hikes at the higher altitude, jumping out of the truck and going straight up can really wind you out. We kind of tend to prefer to come up the night before, acclimate up down below, sitting around a campfire, and then always have a fresh start early in the morning so you don't trip too much anyway. As the laborious advance continues, you crossed a minute forest blowdown area where a microburst wind gust must have touched down in years past.
Surrounded by lush green, we wondered why it blasted that particular section of the hillside.
The nice thing about this trail is even if you're up on the top and a storm should blow in, you can ditch down into the trees pretty quickly. At least a lot quicker than some of the other peaks that may require going a mile or two just to get back down to timberline. This only spends maybe about a half mile up above timberline, so it's a little bit safer. And then you're on the downside of the mountain, the backdrop of the mountain that would shelter you from any kind of a direct hit. Comforting.
Reaching the point where the trail branches, I was amazed to observe the almost fluorescent hue the forest had to offer.
Almost around the halfway point, 3/4 mile up, 0.8, and another mile to go to the top. There's a trail fork. After the trail fork, the trail kind of meanders along the ridge until you come up against a steeper little climb up ahead. Kind of a nice little break.
Hiking along the ridge, your excitement begins to build as you get your first viewpoint down the other side.
It's interesting along the trail, riding the ridge up in here, to take note to some of the lightning strikes that hammer this ridge. Probably the windstorms that roll through here have to be just phenomenal at times. Not the place to be in bad weather. Coming to the end of the ridge, you experience another overlook with an upgazing view of the imposing walls that almost surround Courthouse Mountain. From an up-valley vantage point, you can see the full-length field you must now navigate.
This is where you actually begin to climb the side of Courthouse Mountain.
As the field now rises above you, take a breather and absorb the mountain peak spectacle across the West Fork Cimarron Valley.
The old path used to ascend straight up the very steep hillside.
The newer redesigned trail switchbacks up with a more solid path that won't wash out and deteriorate as quickly. Arriving at a thin ridge atop the field, your pounding heart will skip as you take in the immersing panorama set forth before you, with the imposing sheer rock tower of Chimney Rock jutting to the sky, the lower West Fork Valley panning down below, and the impervious turret ridge, also known as the Cimarron Needles, with their unpolished pinnacles. Take notice from this vantage point as Silverjack Reservoir can be picked out miles down the valley drainage.
From here, the trail steepens drastically. Your breathing will increase along with more frequent rest stops. Now, cutting along the wall of the upper mountain, the slope drops off almost vertical.
Concerningly with loose rock above, we don't linger here long. Now, climbing out of tree line, all your feeling of security begins to leave you. From here, your slowing methodical steps slacken to a crawl.
All sense of security leaves you as the wide open feeling overwhelms you, all while you are trying not to look down.
The vicious volcanic conglomeration that makes up this section appears loose-fitted, but is more like concrete, with stones embedded within it. Careful negotiation is now imperative, as a mistake here could be devastating and possibly fatal. Finding a proper mindset will hopefully overpower your fright of falling. With several hundred feet of open air below you, it is difficult not to question if this is really worth it. This is a Class 2 scramble with imposing defenses one would not expect.
No words you can explain to somebody what this is like, and there's absolutely no film running that will mimic the fright that's within your soul right now, huh?
Bewildering forces grip you to finally look down. The stage set before you with the rarely climbed Chimney Rock at 11,781 feet is demeaning to oneself.
With the tallest blocks hovering over you, frightening.
With the backdrop valley so far below, one would be mistaken not to believe this trail holds considerable steepness with exposure. Climbing within this bestone of stone, don't let yourself be fooled. This section requires nothing short of your best sure-footedness. The West Fork 13er peaks unfold with the upper slope magnificence visually unachievable from far below.
This grand view is only possible from this high stepped-up vantage point.
A last short 70-degree scramble should be carefully negotiated.
When wet, this section may pose extreme danger and difficulty. Exposure here is limited, but should still be respected.
These final few steps stage you at the base of a tundra-covered cap forming the upper dome of Courthouse Mountain. Shuffling up the now grassy slope of the upper dome, your steps shorten, negotiating the imprints deep in the tundra.
Arriving upon the pile of rocks on the miniature summit, a true airy sensation is difficult to avoid.
The fist-clenching and blood-curdling drops now surround you as you stand upon the magnificent castle high in the Colorado sky. Fantastic views across the canyon clamor a muffled wow as you fully absorb the perspective held before your eyes.
We were pleased to share our summit day with the true king of the mountain, Sir Chipmunk.
The outlandish views stretch to the far reaches of the West Fork and continue for miles and miles of Rocky Mountain paradise. To climb to this spot and observe the high mountain beauty is truly well worth the time and the effort put forth. To stand suspended in time above the lower Ridgeway Valley, we found a true front row seat atop the stone-walled fortress, duly named Courthouse Mountain.